Hello and welcome to another edition of Another Book Review. This week I'll be reviewing Max Brooks' Devolution. I'll talk very briefly about the author, go into a spoiler-free overview of the plot, talk about what I liked about the book, what I didn't like about the book, who I'd recommend the book to, and finish off with what I'll be reading for next time. Max Brooks is an author who's been publishing for about 10 years or so now. He's still probably best known for World War Z, which was written as kind of an oral history, of a zombie apocalypse, which I enjoyed quite a bit. The audiobook, if you haven't read it, I highly recommend that. There's a movie adaptation with Brad Pitt that's almost completely different than the book that came out in 2013. He's written some other things since then. I also learned that he does some work with West Point, which I found pretty surprising. But that's Max Brooks and his history. He hasn't done too many novels. I think this is only the second or third adult fiction that he's written. But what this is, Devolution, is about a story of a commune in the Pacific Northwest that's kind of set up by, I would call them kind of techno-utopians, whose goal is to show that they can live as one with nature, and they are cut off from the rest of the world when Mount Rainier erupts, and they are then kind of the targets of a pack of Bigfoot who are out due to the Mount Rainier erupting. Has kind of ruined or screwed up the food chain, and so they're really out for food, and they then attack this village of techno-utopians who are not really set up for survival. And that's kind of the story. I don't know if I'd call this a horror novel. It definitely has horrific elements in it, but I found it to be quite fun. The book is told in a kind of slightly different way than one normally would look at a book like this, similar to World War Z, which was told as an oral history. This is told as a series of journal entries from the main character. The framing device is that a journalist has received the journal entries of one of the members of the commune and is using that to tell a larger story about the possible existence of Bigfoot. And so the book is kind of told through that. He also interviews a park ranger in the area as well as the main character. I believe it's her brother. It's a fun book. There's definitely some social commentary sprinkled in a similar way to World War Z. I didn't think that Max Brooks hit anybody over the head with it. But it's there if you're looking for it. He also has the book moves at a pretty good clip, so you can read it in probably 2 or 3 sittings. I think that I would actually really recommend this to someone who maybe is traveling for the holidays and is going to have a few. Maybe if you're on a plane, you're going to have some time to kill. I think this is actually a pretty good book for this. I do think it's quite a bit of fun. If there were some things that I had against it, well, I do think the book moves at a pretty good clip. The inciting incident that kind of changes everything comes pretty quickly in the book, and I think if it came a little bit later, we would have had a little bit more time to flesh out the other members of the commune. Because the book is really told from one character's point of view, we don't see the level of detail that I would have liked with some of the other characters, so they feel a little thin. They also all feel a little samey to me, so there's not really as much detail and flesh, and it feel as real as really the main character does. There's also a couple characters who act in a way that didn't really feel like normal people would act, even given a certain situation, especially given what we are kind of told about those characters early on in the book. Sorry to be vague, but I have to be vague to avoid spoilers. So I was a little surprised about that. Overall, I did enjoy it quite a bit. I thought it was a fun read. I don't know how much it's going to stay with me after reading it, but it was quite a bit of fun. I felt that if you are someone who... there's a little bit of gore in the book, so if you're bothered by that, then it may not be for you. But otherwise, if you're looking for something that's just kind of a fun thriller, I thought you could do a lot worse. I think he does a good job of kind of walking the line between seriousness and silliness, because it's kind of a silly premise. And kind of the journalist who's kind of investigating kind of acknowledges, this is kind of a silly, out there premise. But I think there is enough commentary there about, survival and how humans have relied on technology for a very, very long time and have gotten away from the ability to survive hard times. And I think there's one character in particular in the commune, he's trying to tell that story through. And there's a little bit of Max Brooks has kind of invented media for some of the characters. So you hear like Terry Gross, the transcript of one of them being interviewed on like Terry Gross's show. So you kind of get a little bit of their character background through that. I wish we had a little bit, maybe less of that, maybe a little bit more of interaction with the character for that to build it out. But otherwise, I thought it was a fun book. Max Brooks' Devolution. And next time I will be reading The Last Days of Video. As always, please like the video if you've enjoyed this. Subscribe to the channel. And I'll leave my Twitter link below if you want to follow me there. Until next time, bye.